जय।
गंगा माई की
जय
जय। जमुना माई की जय।
जय।
तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरि
हरे
हरि बोल।
all glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
हरे
Krishna.
कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
कृष्णा
All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shuddhatmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namane Narayana Namaskricha Narum Chevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Hare Krishna, dear
हरे
devotees.
कृष्ण प्रभु।
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Right. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 14, and this morning we're doing text 29. So, Mataji, can you just, okay, great, I can see her. Well, if you can go up slightly because my computer is playing games for me. All right, yeah, now I can see all 4 lines. Brahmadayo, oh, change the tune. Brahmadayo yatkrita setupala yatkaramam vishwam idam chamaya ayakariyasha pishacha acharya aho vimumnascharitam vidambanam Brahmadayo yatkrita setupala yatkaranam vishwam idam chamaya Agyakariyasya Pishyacharya Aho Vimumnascharitam Vidambanam Vamadayo Yatkrita Setupala Yatkaranam Vishwam Idam Chamaya Agyakariyasya Pishyacharya Aho Vimumnascharitam Vidambanam. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Brahmadayo yat kritashetupala yat karanam bhishmam idam cha maya aggakari yasha pishachocharya aho bhimumna charitam bhidambanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ब्रह्मादयो यत्कृतं सेतुपाला यत्कारणं विश्वम् इदं च माया अज्ञानकरी पिशाचचर्या अहो विभुं नाश्चरितं विदम्बनम्। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ब्रह्मादयो यत् कृतसेतुपाला यत्कारणं विश्वम् इदं च माया अज्ञाकारी यस्यापि साचचर्या अहो विभुम्नश्चरितं विडम्बनम्।
ब्रह्माद्यो यत्कृतसेतुपाला यत्कारणं विश्वम् इदं च माया अज्ञानकरे यस्य पिशाचचर्या अहो विभुम्नश्चरितं विडम्बनम्
ब्रह्मददाय यत्कृतसेतुपाला यत्कारणं विश्वम् इदं च माया अज्ञाकर्यस्य पिशाच आचार्य अहो विभुम्ना चरितं विडम्बनम्
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we can do word forward now. Brahma Adayam. Demigods like Brahma, Yat, whose Krita activities, Setu, religious rites, Pala, observers, Yat, one who is, Karanam, the origin of, Vishwan, the universe, Idam, this, Cha, also, Maya, material energy, Agyakari, order carrier, Yasya, whose, Pishacha, devilish, Charya, activity, Aho, O my Lord, Vibhumna, of the great, Charitam, character, Vidambanam, simply imitation. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is a controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shiva is the husband of Durga, the controller of the material energy. Durga is personified material energy, and Lord Shiva, being her husband, is the controller of the material energy. He is also the incarnation of the mode of ignorance and one of the three deities representing the Supreme Lord. As his representative, Lord Shiva is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is very great, and his renunciation of all material enjoyment is an ideal example of how one should be materially unattached. One should therefore follow in his footsteps and be unattached to matter, not imitate his uncommon acts like drinking poison. Oma Ginatu Vidandasya Gyana Gina Shalakaya Chakshu Umlitam Yena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Pishabhanusute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sundibhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanevyu Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavadi Paschatyadi Shitarini Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachache Namaha Ananda Nilamaya Vigrahaya Himabiri Vichavi Sundaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Rasa Padaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. English translation again. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation. Hare Krishna. So, this is instruction from Kashyapa Muni. He's talking to his wife, Diti. And the circumstances surrounding it is that Diti has become lusty and has appealed to her husband, saying that he should satisfy her lust. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is the beginning of the birth taking of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha when they left the material, left the spiritual world as gatekeepers, the Vaikuntha. So they were going to be born from the womb of Diti. And so, of course, before pregnancy can happen, there has to be sex life. But the timing of a sex life determines the kind of or the character of people who take birth. So the first lesson is if you're going to take husband and wife want to have a child, they should indulge sexually in favorable circumstances spiritually. They can spiritualize sex life, literally. And Srila Prabhupada gives the directions. There is one samskara called Garbhadana samskara. If there's a priest that knows the steps for that Garbhadana samskara, and that priest can be available, and the devotee should actually, preferably a Vaishnava priest, have that samskara done because it invites a soul of high quality, high caliber. In the absence of that, Srila Prabhupada says that the couple should chant japa prior to relating. But Diti went to her husband. Of course, Krishna is the cause of all causes, so underneath all of this was the arrangement for demons to be born. And demons don't get born in an auspicious time. Devotees get born in an auspicious time. So Diti just went to her husband and expressed her wish and asked the husband to fulfill the wish. And so Kashyapa Muni, being advanced as he is, began to explain the time of day that Diti was insisting that he relate sexually to her. He said it's in an inauspicious time because Lord Shiva comes out at that time. And Lord Shiva is the master of the mode of ignorance, as was explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So at that time, it's not a good idea to relate sexually and expect children of high quality to be born. So first, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that Lord Shiva is the husband of Durga. He was the one that was around at that time. And he was out at that time and parading. And at that time, it's not a good idea to relate sexually. So Srila Prabhupada starts first by linking Shiva to the material energy. So Shiva is the husband of Durga. Durga is the controller of the is the husband of Durga and also the controller of the material energy. Durga is a personified material energy personified. Just like the Vedas, there's also personalities who are the Vedas. So there's Vedas personified. That's also there. Even Srimad Bhagavatam personified is there, as Brihad Bhagavatamrita taught us. Those of us that were reading at the time. And so, since Durga is the personified material energy, Lord Shiva is the husband, and usually the husband is the controller of the whole household, is the head of the house. So then Shiva, being the husband, is the controller of the material energy then. And Durga is the material energy personified. Then Srila Prabhupada also says that Durga is Lord Shiva is the incarnation of the mode of ignorance. We know the three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And mode of goodness is represented by Lord Vishnu, passion is by Lord Brahma, and ignorance is by Lord Shiva. And that's why Srila Prabhupada is describing here that Lord Shiva is the incarnation of the mode of ignorance. So, now, again, Srila Prabhupada spent some time more on who Lord Shiva is. So, Lord Shiva is the representative for the mode of ignorance, the representative of the Lord for the mode of ignorance. So, as a representative, Srila Prabhupada says Lord Shiva is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, there should be a distinction made here. The word is chosen very carefully by Srila Prabhupada. He is the Lord's representative for the mode of ignorance. And for that reason, Lord Shiva is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It does not mean the Lord Shiva is equal to the Lord. The Lord is Asamurva. Nobody is equal to him, and nobody is greater than him. But for that particular function, as far as the mode of ignorance goes, Lord Shiva is representing the Supreme Lord. So Lord Shiva is acting according to the instructions of the Supreme Lord. But he has been given full power over the mode of ignorance. So Lord Shiva is not equal to the Lord, but he's representing the Lord, just like the bona fide Guru is not equal to the Lord, but he's the Lord's representative now. So he carries out a specific duty on behalf of the Lord. And he would do it just like if the Lord himself were present, that he would do. So then, Lord Shiva is incarnation of mode of ignorance, and he will handle the mode of ignorance. He will carry out that duty as an incarnation of ignorance of the Lord of this material world, especially when it comes to annihilation of the material world. The material world gets destroyed before it goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So everything becomes unmanifested then. I mean, everything becomes like this, the Mahatattva, without any varieties in there. Everything gets pulverized. That's done by Lord Shiva. So Srila Prabhupada is describing Lord Shiva as being very great. And the way he's renounced of all material enjoyment is an ideal example of what one should be materially unattached. So we're told in the Shastra that we should follow the footsteps of the acharyas. So as far as renunciation of material enjoyment, Lord Shiva is an acharya in that sense. He's an acharya in many other ways too. When he came to instructing the prachetas, out of his own will, Lord Shiva met them when they were going to perform some austerities and gave a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem about the Supreme Personality of Godhead that they should chant, and that way remember the Lord while they were going through the Pasha. The sons of King Prachinabahishat, they call the prachetas. So one should follow the footsteps of Lord Shiva, and from that respect of being unattached to matter. When they say follow the footsteps, it does not mean you imitate everything that he does. Srila Prabhupada one time told his disciples, you cannot imitate me. And so the instructions were given. He came and repeated it. The Sureshwar Prabhu, if I remember, and Gitanagri, there was a workshop, and he actually repeated that. And then there was another Prabhu who was a sannyasi at that time. I think he's a guru now. I don't remember the name. I can remember the face, but not the name now. Also said that you do not copy the spiritual master. You follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So you follow the footsteps. Now, there's one instance that one can copy the spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is an acharya, what he says he does, the instructions that he gives us, A good bit of it he does himself. When his action, Spiritual Master says, chant Hare Krishna, he's also chanting Hare Krishna. And so one can watch how the Spiritual Master chants Hare Krishna because he chants Hare Krishna purely and most of us do not. So then you can watch and copy and literally imitate down to the body language, into the body, how he's doing it, and therefore learn to do that particular activity. But it's an activity that the Spiritual Master has said to us to do. Those things that he hasn't said to do, we don't imitate. We don't, even if we see it, we don't imitate. Lord Shiva, as Srila Prabhupada describes, he drank poison. Now the pastime is, it starts from the demons and the devotees wanting the nectar of immortality. And they had to churn the milk ocean. So we're talking spiritual to churn the milk ocean to get it. So the demons, so a few times the demons and the demigods actually cooperated to do an activity. But the demons are always the demons. They always have nefarious plans, even when they're working with anybody. They're thinking about how to outwit the demigods. And then among themselves, the demons, they are also thinking about who can be topmost, who can outwit the other person. That's just their makeup. It's in their, it's for a matter of speaking, it's in their DNA. It's just the way they like. So anyway, the Lord helped them to get the Mandara mountain, which is very heavy, positioned in the milk of ocean. Then the churning began. It was the churning was done using the snake Vasuki. The demigods held the tail of Vasuki, and the demons in the head area of Vasuki. It was a whole argument over that before that happened. Demons were very demanding. So the churning started, and it was very difficult on them. The Lord had to come as Kurma, the tortoise, get underneath the Mandara mountain, and so he became the pivot. And so the mountain was scratching the back of the Lord, and the Lord was feeling ecstasy. In the meantime, the demons and the demigods were turning the milk ocean. What came out first was the inauspicious stuff in the form of poison. And that poison, how to get rid of it? Who's going to touch poison? The demigods did not want to, the demons did not want to. So Lord Shiva gave his grace. And so by his supreme will, he drank the ocean of that part, the poison that came out. Auspicious things after drinking the poison, they were gone. So the things that came later were all positive. And also the nectar of immortality also came. Now, if we drink a drop of that, we're dead. But some people try to imitate, say, oh, Lord Shiva drank the ocean of poison. And the poison, as you well know, is something that's negative for the body. Therefore, if we take ganja, which is negative for the body, we're doing something like along the lines of what Lord Shiva did. And Lord Shiva is a very advanced Vaishnava, and he drank poison. Therefore, that is a ticket for us to also do some things that are inauspicious. So Srila Prabhupada says, don't imitate. Don't imitate the highly advanced devotee of the Lord. We are not at Lord Shiva's level. We are not at the spiritual master's level. So the instructions that he gives, we follow. And they said the only exception is if the spiritual master is doing the very thing that he said we should do, then we can watch in order to learn how he does it. And in that way, improve the quality of that activity that he's asked us to do, especially when it comes to chanting. So anyway, Srila Prabhupada mentioned the importance of being materially unattached. There literally is the need to be unattached materially. So in the Krishna book, Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, chapter 80, it talks about meeting of the two wonderful friends, Krishna and Sudama Brahmana. Sudama was very poor. Krishna at that time was in Dwarka. So much opulence is there. And they were suffering. Devi, Sudama and his family, especially his wife, was very unhappy in that situation. And she also knew that Sudama's friend, her husband's friend, was Krishna. And he knew that Krishna was living in such great luxury. So she pushed the husband, go visit Krishna, go visit Krishna. Hmm? But what was the mood of Sudama Brahmana? He wasn't worried about the fact that he was poor. He was materially unattached. Hmm? So finally, at his wife's insistence, Sudama goes to Dwarka to visit the Lord, and you will see the Lord in any of his palaces. He has as many palaces as he has wives, 16,108. So he entered one of the palaces, and there was Krishna. Rukmini was there too, in that particular palace. That was a palace built for Rukmini. So Krishna received him wonderfully. As a matter of fact, a few of us that read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when Krishna is receiving a friend, it is incredible the lengths that he goes to emotionally to make the friend feel extremely happy. Gopakumara is the star of the show, from the manner of speaking, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And when he finally made it to Goloka Vrindavan, he went to so many planets, from Swagaloka, in where Indra is, which is only 2 planetary systems above us. We are in Bhuloka, then it's Bhuvaloka, and then Swagaloka. Then he went past that to Mahaloka and then Janaloka. He was taken to those planets. Arrangement was made. All he had to do was chant a particular mantra that his deity Gopal gave him. And when he chants, whatever he desires, it happens. So he went to past and I'm kind of laughing a little bit past Swagaloka because some things happened that was funny. Lord Indra went into hiding on something that was really funny. I don't want to digress too much to go to pastime. Even Lord Brahma also went to hiding when Gopakumara got to Brahmaloka. Another funny incident. Anyway, so then past that, he went to the Vaikuntha planets. Then finally, after Ayodhya, where Lord Brahma was. This is all Lord Ram in the spiritual world now, not the ones that are here, the replicas, but the actual. Well, we can't say actual because it is the same, it's identical. The one in spiritual world. Finally, he gets to Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, and Krishna is tending to the cows at that time, and they told him where. They told him Gopakumara where Krishna will be coming, the path that he will traverse in the return. And first they heard the flute from a long distance. Everybody, the gopis were all there, waiting for Krishna to come. And Krishna finally shows up and he sees Gopakumara and he runs. He literally runs to Gopakumara and embraces him in a tight embrace, and they both fall on the ground. And Krishna started crying in just ecstasy. And Krishna, when he cries pools of water, pools of tears. So much Krishna was so affected by his friend Gopakumara coming back to the spiritual world. He started crying and he fell unconscious from the ecstasy. So Krishna said, nobody is more real than Krishna is. And the things that he would do spontaneously, it's wonderful. Gopakumara also started crying, and the word got out. Krishna passed out. So Mother Yashoda, Mother Yohini, they all come out. What has happened to Krishna? Finally, he came to, and then he started relating to Gopakumara. He was in ecstasy. That is what is waiting for us. Something like that when we return to Krishna Loka. Krishna is so real. The more you hear about him from different books, you see how fascinating he is. There's no other personality as fascinating as Krishna is. And there's no telling what he will do from one moment to another. And he just keeps you on your toes pleasantly like that. So you always anticipate something's going to happen. That's Krishna. Anyway, so Sudama Brahmana went to where Krishna was, in Dwarka. And Krishna received him wonderfully. It's all explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how he, got up, offered him his seeds, worship him, little puja, welcoming puja to him. So much. Then Krishna said this, and this is in chapter 80. My dear Brahmana friend, you are a most intelligent personality, and you know very well the principles of religious life. I believe that after you finish your education at the house of our teacher, both of them went to the Sanipani Muni to get education, at the insistence of Devaki and Vasudeva. Yeah, Krishna and Balaram go get education. After you've finished the education and after you have given him the dakshins, sufficiently remunerated him, you must have gone back to your home and accepted a suitable wife. So all of this happened when Krishna was not around, when he left, when Sudama left, he departed. So Krishna continues, I know very well that from the beginning, you are not at all attached to the materialistic way of life. So here is Sudama's example, being very unattached to the materialistic way of life. And then Krishna says, nor did you desire to be very opulent materially. And therefore, now you're in need of money. So Krishna was already reading Sudama's mind. He knows that Sudama's wife was pushed him to come. Then he starts preaching in this sense. In this material world, persons who are not attached to material opulence are very rarely found. Everybody's thinking how much money I can get, what I can do materially with the money. It's like that. Many people think that way. So, Srila Prabhupada explains here, translates that Krishna is saying such unattached persons haven't the least desire, they don't have the least desire to accumulate wealth and prosperity for sense gratification. But sometimes they are found to collect money just to exhibit the exemplary life of a householder. So indirectly, Krishna is talking to us. The unattached persons, they don't have the least desire to accumulate wealth. It does not mean that they don't go for a way to take care of themselves. They do. Sudama was not attached to material energy, but he was begging. He was begging. He did that as his side profession in order that he could go on in life. What little came, they just lived with that. He wasn't attached to. So accumulating wealth is not the way a Vaishnava should live his life. Accumulating wealth. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami puts it in more detailed perspective. We're living here, I take care of the body, some things that are material that are around us, like a house, and for this country, a car, and some other places, they use horses, and so on. But those have become necessary items. For the necessary items you have to get in order that material life can go on smoothly. But he says accumulating wealth. There should be money set aside for emergencies. There should be money set aside to deal with the family. Those two should be there. And then the rest of the wealth that's there, it should go to Krishna consciousness projects. So that everybody that does that, because there's money given to the, Krishna conscious projects, then one gets spiritual credits from doing that, for doing that. That's from Kama Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is by instruction. We know exactly what spiritual master tells us to do. But we have our own money. Krishna is not saying to spend all of it. He just says, as Jiva, I keep saying Jiva, Rupa Goswami says, a quarter of it should, your accumulated wealth, a quarter of it should be for family emergencies, quarter for emergencies, quarter for family, and the other half is for Krishna conscious projects. So if it comes to the point where if you're just going from hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, then of course you pay your bills. So then you donate to the temple or other Krishna conscious projects that you want on a bill paying basis. You pay that, you should be the first one to pay, especially if you care about Krishna. Then there's a certain amount you give. But when you accumulate wealth, when you have that, then this is Rupa Goswami telling you how to disburse it. So basically, you're not accumulating wealth. The money comes, but you have exactly what it is that you want to do with it. And the lion's share of it should go to Krishna conscious projects. So then you don't do things for sense gratification. And that is the exemplary life of a householder, according to what Rupa Goswami wants us to do. So Srila Prabhupada instructs householders, they should collect just for their needs and save for emergencies. Any extra must be given to Krishna conscious projects, especially helping the chosen temple that they are in. So Krishna continues that such people, they show how by proper distribution of wealth, just like we just described, one can become an ideal householder and at the same time a great devotee. And he says finally, this is he Krishna, such ideal householders are to be considered followers of my footsteps. So it means Krishna himself is like that. He doesn't really show much as far as how to wonderful wealth. If he's doing a pastime, that's one thing. Whatever is needed for the pastime, that is available. But Krishna is unattached. He's all the time unattached. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 28, Maharaj Pariksit is also in the situation how Krishna dealt with it. This is all about being unattached to material energy. Now, Sudama, he was unattached himself. Now, Maharaj Pariksit, he was helped to become unattached. So that's the mercy of the Lord. This whole pastime with Maharaj Pariksit being thirsty while he was in the forest and then coming to the hut of Shamakarishi, who was in meditation. When the person is in meditation, it does not mean that they are sleeping. They're not. They're still aware of their surroundings, but barely because of the way the mood that they are in. So Maharaj Pariksit was hoping that Shamakarishi would at least stop and give him some water. Shamakarishi ignored Maharaj Pariksit, and that was not the proper etiquette. So Maharaj Pariksit got upset. And nearby, there was a dead snake, and he lifted his bow, picked up the dead snake, and put it like a garland around Shamakrishna's neck. This is not something that Maharaj Pariksit would do characteristically. He's not like that. But at that time, in the fit of anger, he did that. But again, Krishna is the cause of all causes. The real reason was to get Maharaj Pariksit to a point where he would also detach for material responsibilities. So Shamakrishna's son, Shringi, Brahmana that had a few mystic cities, could tell what had happened. He got back to the house and saw the dead snake and knew that the snake was dead, around his father's neck, and knew who had done it. And he decided to curse Maharaj Pariksit, that he would die in 7 days from a snake bite. Maharaj Pariksit was chastising himself when he left Shamkarishi's residence for doing what he did. He regretted, and so he knew that there would be some reaction for what he had done. And so when he finally heard that Shringi had cursed him to die in 7 days, he did not try to overturn the curse, even though Sri Prabhupada says he had the capability of overturning the curse. But he decided to go through with it and detach fully from all material responsibilities as a king. And so he left. He gave the kingdom to his 4 sons, headed by Maharaj Janmejai, who's the firstborn. And then he went to the banks of the Ganga and started meditating. And by the will of Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami was also directed to go to him. And all of these sages who can tell past, present, and future, they knew what was going to happen, that the king would be leaving, and the curse had been put on him. So they also assembled there. So that Shukadeva Goswami, who was chosen at that time, 16 years old, he was the one that spoke Srimad Bhagavatam that we're reading now. So Srila Prabhupada explains that the king was a great devotee of the Lord. And he was also, very good, saintly. But by the will of the Lord, circumstances were so created so that he became The circumstances became the hint or clue to the king's becoming unattached to family connection and government activities, and thus become a completely surrendered soul to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So see, what we learn from this is that if we really take this process seriously and do all the services with our heart, then Krishna would notice us and help us to become unattached. It's very things that we hear in the Shastra and we, discuss with each other like we're doing now, because there'll be questions later. Then, even if we are unable to do it, for whatever the reason is, Krishna arranges for something to happen. And from that, whatever we want spiritually, we're able to get, especially if we want it badly, but somehow we're not able to get to it. It may be that the four regulated principles and someone has been in material life addicted to one of them, and addiction is not easy to break. And so it gets to a point where they are feeling very, very badly for themselves because they know there's an opportunity to go back to Godhead, but they cannot get past this particular regulated principle because they're so addicted to it. Mm-hmm. If such a person prays hard enough, repeatedly, every day, cries to the Lord, as Gogovinda Maharaj says, we should cry to the Lord. Cry and beg the Lord, this has got me stuck, and I know that if I leave this body, not having overcome this particular regulated principle, I'm not going back home. At least I have not qualified to get your mercy, because life as a devotee involves obeying all the regulated principles, beginning with being physically unattached to them, and then later mentally unattached to them. For most people, it doesn't come right away. Physically, you stop as a very good sign because you want to do right. But then the desires are still there, simple desires. So in that, you have to start praying, because if you don't get rid of the simple desires, the chances are high that you're going to jump back into the physical unwanted desire, do it again. And then you become depressed. For some people, because, geez, I should not have done this. And now I've come myself to the point where I'm slipping. The chance for me going back home is slipping because it is one thing that I don't seem to be able to get over. You pray intensely to the Lord, He will arrange for something to happen. This is exactly what He did with Maharaj Pariksit. It looked like it was something that he shouldn't do, putting a snake around the Rishi's neck. It wasn't something that Shamkrishi shouldn't do, not meet a person who has come and just is thirsty and wanting water. So from a material standpoint, Shamkrishi was wrong. From a material standpoint, Maharaj Parikshit's reaction was wrong. But what happened? A whole Srimad Bhagavatam came from it after he got cursed, and he prepared to go home. So he's the best hearer. And Shukadeva Goswami is the best chanter of the 9 principles of love in devotional service. But it seemed like something funny. Not great, but Krishna would arrange for something to happen. Now, one thing we need to understand is we don't have control. We shouldn't think to even have control over how we're going to get helped by Krishna. That's not in our domain. We pray for help, and the help would come. And sometimes the help, actually most of the time, it will be unconventional, just like what happened to Maharaj Pariksit. But it is all right. If we're doing the right thing, Krishna will be leading us to a particular unfolding of an event, such that at the end, the very thing that's bothering us will be dealt with. Krishna is not merciful, but we should never question. I remember one of my god sisters, the program in Philadelphia. It was not at the temple. Actually, the temple hadn't been renovated at that time. This was quite a while back, in the late 90s. And she asked the question of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, who was the one giving the class, that I really, I'm paraphrasing. She says, I really want to be, submitted to Krishna, but if I ask him to do the things, he doesn't want to do the things that I want. Now, in my mind, I was already laughing like anything, but I just kept a straight face. Because in my mind, you want Krishna to do what you want? What kind of servant are you? Servant tells the master what the servant wants, and the master has to do it. So then who is the master really, and who is the servant? And as funny as it sounds, many of us have that kind of mentality. It's part of the anarthas we need to get rid. We have to be surrendered in that when we put something out, which is a spiritual request, the way we want, forget it. If it happens that way, that's just by Krishna's own will. Not because he's listening to the way we want it. No, we want the final result that helps us to grow. But the details, we don't have any business thinking about. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And sometimes when we don't know how it's going to unfold and it starts unfolding, we get bewildered. Why is this happening this way? Why is this? Because we are so attached to how we think it should go down. But that's not for us to think of. If we're doing something wrong at the time, and I'm not talking about the thing that we prayed for help, but something else, or say we're not chanting our rounds or something, then we see something's going wrong in our life, we can ascribe it or say, well, it's because I'm not acting right. But if you're doing everything right that you can, and you're asking for help, and that help is unfolding in an unusual way to you, and an unusual way to us, that is Krishna's way. That is Krishna's way. This is the way Krishna has chosen. And we don't have anywhere in intelligence near Krishna's. So the merciful Lord, Sri Prabhupada says, sometimes he creates such an awkward position for his pure devotee in order to drag him, the pure devotee, towards him, the Lord, and free him from his material existence and his complications. So the Lord sets up what seems to be an awkward position materially. But actually, outwardly, it's only outwardly they appear like that. Sometimes it may cause frustration for the devotee. And Maharaj Pariksit was frustrated with Shamakrishi. He was, no doubt. But it was the Lord's plan to finally get him to get away from so much material responsibilities that he was just embroiled in. And get a shortcut, 7 days, go back to Godhead, that we are all hoping to go. So, Sri Prabhupada advises that the devotee is always under the protection of the Lord. And in any condition, whether it's frustration or success, the Lord is the one that is the supreme guide for the devotee. It's all Him. But He can turn something that seems to be materially disturbing into a wonderful final result. Or He can just take something that seems to be just smooth materially to get a final result. That's wonderful. That's up to Him. So we should think that, in the mind, you want our mind to be pure, then we should think that all conditions that the Lord throws at us should be accepted. Even if it's frustration, we should accept it as a blessing from the Lord, because underneath it, something wonderful is going to happen. So, to be unattached, another point, is to simply serve the Lord by the process of bhakti yoga. We're talking about material unattachment. To be unattached is just simply serve the Lord. Serve the Lord by bhakti yoga. So in the Bhakti Godhead magazine, BTG 1987, Vishaka Devi Das, Srila Prabhupada disciple, he wrote an article and he made a point that was very nice. Arjuna and Krishna. So this is Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna is a spirit soul, he is completely different from his body. He should desire to benefit the soul only. Because he's thinking and he's talking to Krishna and complaining. This is chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita on the material standpoint. Why should I kill my king's men and so on? What they want is material anyway. Let them have it. Why should I kill them? What benefit would I derive from it? But what he should do is that he has to perform his duty not for his self-centered satisfaction or for his reasoning, but for the satisfaction of Krishna, the Supreme Person. Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight. So if the bona fide guru wants us to do something, we do it. That's it. So it was started this way, that conversation in Bhagavad Gita, so that all of the material reasons that we come up with not to do proper service were spilled out by Arjuna. And they were very intelligent material counters to what Krishna wanted. They were intelligent from material standpoint. Why should I kill people? Do we kill our cousins and sisters and fathers and so on? Of course we don't. We don't. And Krishna is saying you should do that. But Arjuna is not realizing that this is for a higher purpose. Krishna is cleaning out the demonic situations, demonic influence on Mother Bhumi, on the earth, by Mother Bhumi's request. So that's what had happened. And he said you should fight and get rid of these people because you can't get rid of kings unless you kill them. Otherwise, they'll still be in control and do the negative things. So it's like that. If you try to imprison a king, some of the king's loyal people will fight you and try to free the king, even though he's a demon. So Krishna was just going to get rid of him and wanted Arjuna to get the credit for doing that. So Mother Vishaka is saying that a person that's fully situated in transcendental knowledge and unattached to the results of his endeavor, a person fully situated in transcendental knowledge and also unattached to the results of what he does. That person is not working materially. They're working spiritually. That is a spiritual condition for service. We should not be attached to the results of the service. So Maharaj Pariksit was just taken through all that he went through. And some of it was frustrating. But in the end, he was here in Srimad Bhagavatam on the banks of the Ganga and preparing to go home. And even after Shukadeva Goswami spoke, then Maharaj Pariksit's mother came to him, Uttara, and said, I know that Shukadeva Goswami has told you all these things. Can you describe what he has said? Just summarize for me. And Maharaj Pariksit obliged to his mother. And rather than present it philosophically, he presented it in a story form. And that is Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So what happened, Gopakumar was describing how he was, the experiences, but it was all related to things that are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam by by Shukadeva Goswami. And Maharaj Pariksit talked about it just like the way Narada Muni spoke to Pachinavahi, a king that was a nice king, but he was attached to material energy. So then Narada Muni came to his palace and described the story, an allegory from King Puranjana, and started a whole story about King Puranjana. But everything that was happening in the story that he was told, he was telling Prachina Vaishat, was actually what Prachina Vaishat was doing materially. That was wrong. But then he used, Narada Muni used King Puranjana's story, attachment to his wife and all of that. And so when he was finished, then Prachina Vaishat put two and two together and said, this man talked about me because this is something I do. But it makes it a little softer for it to come across because when you're talking to a king in the assembly and all the subjects are there, and you start saying, my dear king, you're like this, you're like this, you're like this, you're like this, in a negative way, you shouldn't be like this. What would the subjects feel? And wouldn't the king be kind of frustrated to hear all of this? Embarrassed in front of his own subjects? So now the Muni just took the story route and described a different king, but a king though, so that the king, Prachina Vaishat, he started with a different king in a story form, and it was clear to everybody that Narada Muni was telling a story. But when it was finished, King Prachina Vaishat put two and two together and said, this man has actually preached to me about the right things to do. So we shouldn't be as material attachment. One point we'll stop. It's almost finished anyway. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about how to be situated above material possessiveness. Mm-hmm. And he says, Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion, that Anasataksya Vishayan Yatatam Upayunjata Nirvanda Krishna Sambandhi Yukta Vairagyam Uchate, which means when one is materially unattached, at the same time accept everything in relationship to Krishna, then one is rightly situated above possessiveness. Nirvanda Krishna Sambandhi Yukta Vairagyam Uchate. When one is materially unattached, they use it, whatever thing that's there, but they use it in relationship to Krishna. Then we're situated rightly, correctly, and we're not trying to possess for ourselves. So that's another way to be materially unattached. Mm-hmm. So we should remember that. Mm-hmm. Everybody that is a sadhana bhakti practitioner of bhakti yoga, we should do that. Mm-hmm. So, of course, karma, jnana, and false renunciation, that can't be included in devotional service. They are detrimental to bhakti yoga. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I have one more point, but we are out of time, so I'm just going to do a conclusion and then we can do questions. So, first, we have to follow the order of the bona fide spiritual master. And if we follow him automatically, that amounts to us working spiritually, just by following the orders of bona fide spiritual master. Also, whatever the details of any activity that there is, even if it seems material, if the items that are being used for devotional service, if the items are being used for devotional service, even if they're material, they are automatically spiritualized and on the transcendental platform. That's knowledge we have to have. It doesn't matter what the activity is. What we're using, and we use material items. Even when we chant Hare Krishna, we use our tongue and our mouth. We only have material body to use in service. So, but everything that we use everything becomes automatically spiritualized. So then they go on the transcendental platform. So that's also true when doing arati and the pujari is offering paraphernalia from the arati plate. Everything on that plate becomes spiritualized once it is offered to the picture of the guru. And finally, to be unattached to the material is easily accomplished by hearing about Krishna Bhakti details, chanting the holy name, and serving the devotees, serving Guru and serving Krishna faithfully. So Lord Shiva is a great, great, great guide for us to follow his example. And Kashyapa Muni was trying to tell Diti that this was not the opportune time, a good time, if we wanted to. He was assuming that, of course, if they're going to cause children to come, you would want auspicious children. So it shouldn't happen at the time that's inauspicious, sex life. But, of course, Krishna is behind it because he actually wanted demons to be born. So that was the reason behind it. But through all of this, we see how unattached Lord Shiva is. And if we follow the examples by what we've concluded here, then we'll be in very good shape. Hare Krishna. Shira Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you, dear devotees, for coming on to here. And we all benefit from this. I was just quoting references. I was also learning and speaking at the same time. This is the time to unmute yourself if you have questions, if you have realizations, and if you have some takeaways that you want to point out, please do. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for the nice class. But only my question is, Shiva, he is a god, he can do, he is unattached to other things like that. But we human beings, we get, we want to have children. That is a blessing. We think, yes, I have children, that is a blessing for me.
Mm.
And when children grows nicely and then they get married, oh, that is blessing for me.
Mhm.
All these things we are slowly attached to that.
Mm.
So how can we be detached for that?
It's part of the conclusions that we came to today.
Yeah.
If we use an activity, then that comes to the children. So there's paraphernalia we're using for service.
Yeah.
They become spiritualized, even though they're material things.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are in this mindset as parents that yes, the marriage, I had children, for me it's very nice, thinking materially like that. But then we have to, as said, the material. That's why I see Papa sometimes calls children byproducts, because it's from us.
Mm-hmm.
But if the child becomes Krishna conscious, then basically that pregnancy has been spiritualized because the product from the spirit,
That's true.
it has become something that will serve the Lord and make the Lord and the devotees happy. So that's why I said that if a parent or a guru or a teacher cannot make children disciples or such people in the audience, if they're not ready to speak in such a way that they can become Krishna conscious, then they shouldn't have those disciples. They shouldn't have those children. So it's important for the children to be guided because that's on the parents. A child starts growing, everything comes from the orders of the parents. So at that time, the parent has complete control over what the child will do. The child is being raised materially, do this, don't do this. But then there are other things too that are there that are connected to Krishna. Now, the most important way to do it is you can tell the child. In fact, it's not even difficult, necessary to tell the child. If you do things spiritually right in front of the child, they're
Yeah,
going to want to copy it.
that's
They're just
true.
going to copy it.
Yeah.
I remember my two girls, now they're called Manu and Raja. And when they started, Bhakti Maharaj gave them names Brinda and Vishaka. So when they were little, Vishaka was 2 years old, Brinda was about 5 years old. Every morning in our deities, they see that we go to our deities, my wife and I, one of us we take turns, and doing arti to the deities and the deity pictures that we have on the altar. They see that every day. So one day they came, we're doing this, and Vinda said, Mommy, can I also use the incense to do what you're doing? They wanted to copy. So my wife gave the incense stick to him. So he also started doing that. Of course, our student, he started going around counterclockwise. So she had to be corrected. Well, you go this way, not this other way. So she started doing it. Well, now the little girl, Vishaka, says, I have to do something too. Okay, so we gave him the bell. So now Brenda is doing this offering with incense. Vishaka's ringing the bell. Just like that.
Yeah, that's true.
You start, you do.
Yeah, what parents do, they will
They
copy.
copy. So you just do Krishna conscious things right in front of them. They'll copy.
That's true.
There's one, I'll tell you another story. Another young girl from another devotee's house, Girinagi, came to visit because his age is close to the age of my first daughter. So they came to visit. He came, and this girl, we were cooking in the kitchen, and he just watched us. She watched us do this, and then she has some toys too, a toy stove and toy pans and all kinds of things that she brought with her to our house, and so she was also imitating cooking. And then he has a toy plate, and he put things, nothing from it, just all by, put it on there, and then started offering. And then she went and sat in one corner and put her hands underneath her clothes and was quiet. I said, "Are you kidding me?" She's doing Gayatri.
Oh, God.
She's seen her parents do Gayatri when they're offering. And she came to the house and did the same thing. Boy, we just started laughing. So,
That is cute.
yeah, so the children do that. They do that. And Girinagri actually was a blessing we lived there because still the children grew up seeing everybody doing service. The whole community, they do service. So they just, that's what you do. The adults are doing, so they also do.
Yeah, they
And
copy everything.
yeah. And every one of them that grew up there is actually a fixed devotee doing service. They do service. I mean, Ananta and the rest of them,
we talk good, we do good, everything, the children will copy it.
they'll copy.
If we
Just
talk
like that.
so rash to others, children will copy to that too.
We have to be careful how we relate.
We have to be very careful.
Yeah. They pick up everything, right and wrong. So
That's
we have to be very, very, very careful.
That's
Yeah.
very careful.
So for me, things that are kind of controversial, when I have to discuss them with any devotee, I make sure the children are not there.
Yeah.
In fact, myself,
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
we were raised
That's
like that. When my aunts come to
There's
visit,
certain things we shouldn't be discussing in front
front
of
of the children.
children.
Yeah.
But here in this country, mostly they want to keep it open, everything.
Yeah.
That is what bothers me. In India, when my parents used to talk, and my I don't have father, but my father, brother, and my mother used to talk about something about marriage, talking about seeing the groom and like that. If I stand there few seconds, my brother used to come behind me like a lady. He used to do my braid, and he used to say, "Yeah, neighbors, dog has a girl baby," and they were saying like that. He used to talk like that. It's unnecessarily talk. When he talks like that, I know I am supposed to be not there.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be get out of that place.
Yeah.
That's how I used to realize. They never told me like that.
Yeah.
But this
It's true.
this kind of thing he used to talk, like old ladies will talk that neighbors is doing this, neighbors are doing that. So like that he used to say something, and with that I used to get out of the place.
Yeah.
That's how they taught me.
That we need to understand.
Yeah.
When it comes to conversation about adults, the children should not be there. Two things that happen. One, if they hear adult stuff that early,
Yeah.
you have
They
to maintain.
don't know what is
Yeah.
that.
We have to maintain. As a matter of fact, my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, preached one, in a lecture, and he was talking about children, and he gave a title to that. And usually when he finishes, then I record. I was the one that was recording, so I have to go to him. So, Guru, what should be the titles of this lecture? He said, maintaining the innocence of the children. The adults should maintain the innocence of the children. So things, and I grew up like that in the house. So when my aunts come to visit, and they need to talk with my mother and all that, they were sisters, they were aunts.
You never used to be
The
there.
child is just get out. They would just go.
Go and do your homework. Go and do that. Go and do this.
And then they would speak, but they would speak in a tone that from where we are, we can't hear what they're talking about.
Nowadays they don't do that.
Well,
they say what is wrong if they know. They need to know everything. What is wrong like that? They're saying. That's not correct. At their age, they may not be understanding what we are talking.
Yeah, and even if they do, and something is not good about a particular adult, and that's discussed, what happens is that children loses respect for that adult.
That's true. That's true.
So
like you're saying that little girl is doing Gayatri. That was so cute. That's how they copy.
Yeah, they copy. Yeah, they have to let them copy the right thing. We do the right thing in front of them.
Yeah.
And then what's controversial or what's confidential, we shouldn't do in front of the children. Yeah. If we want to live in the mode of goodness still.
That is a very, very important lesson.
Anyway, thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Please unmute yourself. And if not too, that's fine. We can end. So, all right. Shubharadi Mataji?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay.
I don't have any announcements except that Sunday school starts today. So please, everybody, we'll see you all at the temple for the Sunday feast program.
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Prabhupada ki
Jai. Thank you very much, Prabhu.